Hey y'all, it's Scott, the Basic American Dad Abroad, and I'm going to teach you how to not stick out like a basic American in Paris. But this fun video is just a quick overview, otherwise it could be hours long. And it's part of our series or playlist titled Paris 101, which is a collection of videos to help you have an amazing time there. So be sure to roll through the rest as well for additional Paris tips. There are many additional subjects covered in the other videos that I won't be repeating in this one, so I don't waste your time. So let's get right into it, because I bet you can't wait to get kicked out of Paris. But seriously, and I hope you can see why by the end of this video, you really do not want to stick out like a typical American there. And if you're a wife or kid, save yourself a lot of embarrassment and be sure to share this video with your husband or dad. Because if the locals like you, you'll have a much better experience there. Plus, even more seriously, I don't want you to be targeted for crime. And criminals in Paris and elsewhere do target Americans for a number of reasons. So number one, turn down your volume. Not on your computer right now, I'm talking about on your mouth. This is a major cultural difference in France and in much of the continent. And it's one of the top reasons why there's a stereotype of French people supposedly not liking Americans. Fact is, we felt very welcomed and liked there and made friends wherever we went, simply because we took the effort to learn and adapt to and respect their culture. And volume was a big part of that. It's very noticeable, as you'll see there, or hopefully not. You won't be forced to listen to everyone else's conversations in restaurants and on public transportation, which is really nice. And if you do encounter loud behavior, you'll cringe too. It's really out of place and unappreciated by everyone else. And that goes for laughing loudly too. Now, Europeans love a funny or witty point, but they don't broadcast it to everyone within 100 feet. Number two, clothes. And dads, this one hits me hard too. Just leave the white tennis shoes and socks and flip-flops and cargo shorts and hula shirts back at home, because nothing screams American tourist as loudly as that. And it paints a target on your back for pickpockets and scammers. Now, ladies, and you're usually much smarter than us guys about this stuff, so you may already know, keep the jewelry to a classy minimum for the same reasons. Oh, and they do not wear leggings over there except when actually working out. And kids, if you don't want to look like a basic cliche tourist, Europeans don't typically wear loud clothing with writing all over it. They're really unimpressed with labels and brands. And while there's nothing wrong with being proud of your school or team, unless you really want to stick out, best to not wear sports jerseys or college hoodies while you're over there. Now, I'm not telling you how to dress, not at all. Like most anywhere, everyone over there wears whatever they want. So there's no Paris uniform, unless you're the police, of course. These are just suggestions for if you want to blend in. And by the way, locals really don't typically wear berets, but you do you. Number three, don't expect over-the-top or super-fast service like here in America. Parisian restaurants in particular are a much more relaxed pace than here in the US. And your server will generally leave you alone to enjoy your meal. That may have you feeling slighted or offended, but it's not personal, it's cultural. So if this happens to you, don't make a scene. Just get their attention in a polite manner, with a little French, as we'll teach you in this Paris 101 series. But most of all, go into this entire trip with a relaxed attitude and savor the experiences. You're on vacation, right? Number four, greetings. A key exception to being cliche is when you come and go places. Be very respectful and polite, as that is the bedrock of their culture. Don't just walk into their business and expect them to speak English to you. Always start with a polite greeting of bonjour if it's daytime, or bonsoir if it's evening. Simply put, to paraphrase the golden rule, be the kind of visitor that you would want to encounter back at your home. And for more on that point, I'll be turning it over to Christina. In this Paris 101 series, she helps you learn enough French to make a very favorable difference in your experience there, in bite-sized pieces per video. And in this one, she'll teach you how to get some help in English.
Merci, Dad, and bonjour, everyone. In each of our Paris videos, I like to teach you a key word or phrase that will really help you during your stay in France. This time, on the subject of politeness, we'll begin with excusez-moi, which is the formal way to say excuse me. When you're out on the street, though, things are not quite as formal, but still polite. So you'll notice people using a simple pardon when they need to get by someone in their way. In fact, you'll hear it a lot on the metro and in the stations. This illustrates again France's culture of respect. fluent. From school, plus being a tourist town, most Parisians have at least some basic command of our language. But it's still considered impolite to just assume that and start with English. So you should ask politely, parlez-vous anglais? Even better if you respectfully start that with a bonjour or excusez-moi and finish with a smile. My segments and our other Paris videos go into more basic words too. Back to you, Dad.
Number 5, attitude. Look, I doubt anyone watching this video personally won World War II. We weren't even born yet, so we didn't bail anyone out. Really, it's best to not even talk about the war over there, because your host, meaning the people of France, would rather not. And it's not a part of their daily life some 80 years later. This is their home. And again, simply think about how you would want a visitor to act toward you in your home. Attitude is probably the top reason why Americans get treated differently over there, and not in a good way, in France and throughout Europe. And we have a chance to improve those relations on a person-to-person level. I'll ask you to take a moment to think about a very nice person that you've met from another country. Someone who ruined a bad stereotype that you had just by being a good person. So when you're there, just be that person. Number 6, etiquette on the metro. Please don't stand in front of the door when the train arrives. It's kind of like the terminal gate or luggage lice at an airport, unnecessarily blocking everyone, and you've got to slug through when your group number's called or your luggage comes out first. It's pretty annoying, isn't it? So when a train arrives, simply let everyone else get out so you can go in. And if the doors are closing, don't try to force them open. It's not an elevator. Those doors will close. There'll be another train in just a few minutes going to the same place. And if you're in a large group, it's good to have a plan for if this ends up separating y'all. Now, a reminder for some fundamental chivalry on a metro or bus. And this is what the local Parisians and Europeans in general do. Guys, if it's crowded, let the ladies have the seats. Also, guys or gals, offer your seat to elderly folks or kids who would have a really hard time standing and holding on. Otherwise, if that doesn't apply, just sit back and enjoy the ride. Oh, and always be mindful of pickpockets, and that includes your bags. Number 7, some even more don't get in the way. Tourists, no matter who or where, are going to be a little overwhelmed and confused. But that's not a valid excuse to stand in everyone else's way. If you need a moment to get your bearings, as we all do at times, just stand to the side. Also, Paris is a great city for biking and has many dedicated bike lanes. So be conscious of that and don't walk or hang out in them. You might get run over, or if they're being nice, they just might ring the bell at you. You'll be a little embarrassed. Just keep in mind, like any big city, there's a certain flow to it. So just go with the flow, or at least don't go against it. Okay, that's enough for one sitting, I suppose. And keep in mind that neither I nor anyone over there expects you to stop being you. These are simply suggestions for if you want to blend in and have an easier time in Paris. And I really hope it helps you and your family as it has us. Again, this video is purposely not exhaustive, and there are many additional subjects covered in our other videos. So I didn't want to bore you with repetition. This is part of an ongoing series of Paris how-tos. So be sure to stay tuned to other helpful videos to help you prep. Now, do you have any additional important tips that I didn't cover, or anything to add to my brief overview here? Please help us and others by telling us all in a comment below. And if you got something out of this, please hit the like button. It helps other people find it as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again from Paris real soon.